If you spot these behaviors in yourself, you were likely raised by a narcissist. People think narcissistic parents only create mini narcissists. That's a myth. The truth? Many kids grow up hyper-apologetic, overly cautious, or unable to accept kindness. I'll reveal the subtle behaviors most people miss, and the final one explains why even resting can feel selfish to you. 1. You apologize for existing in the room, not for knocking over a glass or for stepping on someone's foot. No, you find yourself saying sorry just for walking in, interrupting a conversation, or even speaking at a normal volume. It's as if you're convinced your very presence is an inconvenience. This reflex didn't come out of nowhere. It's a survival trick you learned to avoid the wrath of a parent who could turn a neutral situation into a crime scene with a single glare. Every sorry isn't really about the moment. It's you carrying around an invisible permission slip, begging for approval to simply take up space. 2. You rehearse your sentences like a lawyer prepping for trial. Instead of just blurting out what you think, you run through 3 or 4 drafts in your head before speaking. Why? Because growing up, every word was potential evidence to be twisted, mocked, or used against you later. So now, even in casual conversations, your brain treats chit-chat like a cross-examination. You pause. You over-explain. You make sure your tone is soft enough not to trigger someone. Friends might think you're thoughtful or articulate, but inside, you know it's not about eloquence. It's about self-defense. 3. You feel guilty when you're not performing. Not performing like singing or dancing, but performing as in keeping everyone else emotionally comfortable. If a friend is upset, you feel like it's your job to soothe them. If a coworker is grumpy, you automatically start wondering if it's something you did. This compulsion to regulate everyone else's emotions often comes from being cast as the emotional thermostat in your own house. Growing up, you learned quickly that keeping the peace wasn't optional. It was survival. Now, you mistake exhaustion for failure and calm for success, even though neither is your responsibility. 4. Compliments confuse you more than insults. Someone says, "You did amazing on that project," and your first instinct is suspicion. Are they serious? Do they want something? Meanwhile, if they'd said, "You could have done better," you'd nod in agreement like it's gospel. This isn't low self-esteem in the generic sense. It's a wiring issue. Praise feels unfamiliar because it never came without strings attached. Criticism, however, feels like home. Sharp, familiar, almost comforting in its predictability. So when someone is genuinely kind, your reflex isn't gratitude, it's disorientation. 5. Silence feels louder than words. For most people, silence is just silence. But for you, it's a message. If a text isn't answered right away, your stomach flips. If someone goes quiet during a conversation, you scramble to fill the air. Growing up, silence wasn't peaceful. It was a countdown. It meant the storm was coming, or worse, that you were being frozen out as punishment. So now, when there's no noise, your brain doesn't rest. It races, trying to decode what you did wrong this time. 6. You downplay your own needs like they're luxuries. When you're hungry, tired, or overwhelmed, you minimize it. It's fine, I'll eat later. I don't really need help. To you, needing something feels like a weakness, or worse, an annoyance to others. This is classic training from a narcissistic household, where your needs were often brushed aside or weaponized against you. So you grew into an adult who packages your needs into tiny, ignorable boxes, pretending they don't matter. Except, of course, they do. And learning to unwrap them without guilt is one of the hardest steps in reclaiming yourself.